Every time a massive truck speeds down the highway, something strange is happening underneath it. Metal chains dragging on the road, sparking sometimes, making noise. But here's the weird part. These chains aren't broken. They're not a mistake. They're actually protecting the truck from something invisible, something powerful enough to shut down fuel systems, spark explosions, or even mess with electronics. And once you understand it, you'll never look at trucks the same way again. Scale and context. Think about this. A fully loaded truck can weigh over 40,000 kilograms. It's moving at highway speeds, constantly rubbing rubber tires against asphalt. That creates friction. And friction creates something you can't see but definitely exists. Electric charge. Now imagine this giant metal machine slowly building up invisible electricity with nowhere for it to go. Sounds harmless, right? But here's where it gets dangerous. Historical backstory, short story. Back in the early days of fuel transport, drivers started noticing something strange. During fuel loading or unloading, tiny sparks would jump from the truck to the ground. Most of the time, nothing happened, but sometimes those sparks ignited fuel vapors in the air, and that's all it takes, a single spark. That's when engineers realized this wasn't just electricity, it was static electricity building up on moving vehicles, and they needed a simple solution, fast. Core simplification. So let's break this down simply. There are really just three key ideas here. Friction creates electric charge. Charge builds up on the truck's metal body. If it discharges suddenly, then spark. And sparks plus fuel equals serious danger. So the goal is simple. Release the electricity safely before it becomes a problem. Deep explanation, but simple. Imagine walking across a carpet, then touching a metal door handle. Zap! That's static electricity. Now imagine that, but instead of your body, it's a 40-ton truck. As the truck drives, the tires constantly rub against the road. This creates a buildup of static charge across the entire vehicle. But rubber tires don't let electricity escape easily, so the charge just stays there, building and building. Now here's where it gets interesting. If that truck suddenly touches something conductive, like a fuel pipe or even the ground, the electricity jumps instantly. That jump is the spark. So what do the chains do? They act like a constant escape route. Dragging along the road, they create a path for electricity to slowly leak away, instead of exploding out all at once. Think of it like a pressure valve, releasing energy little by little. But that's not the full story. Because not all trucks use chains, and some use something even more advanced. Real-world application. Fuel trucks, airport vehicles, and tankers are the most common ones using these chains. Why? Because they operate around flammable gases all the time. When they stop to refuel or unload, even a tiny spark could cause a fire. So those chains are quietly working the entire time, keeping the truck grounded, reducing risk every second it moves. In some modern systems, instead of chains, you'll find static discharge straps, rubber strips with conductive material inside. Same idea, cleaner design. Here's something most people don't know. Sometimes those chains can actually create visible sparks at night, especially on dry roads. Another detail. Static electricity builds up more in dry weather than humid weather. So these chains are even more important in deserts or hot climates. And one more thing. Airplanes use a similar idea. They have tiny discharge points on their wings to release static electricity during flight. Same problem, different scale. But here's the crazy part. Even with all this, those chains aren't always enough on their own. Deeper insight. In high-risk environments, trucks are also physically connected to the ground using grounding cables before fuel transfer begins. Because when it comes to fuel, you don't take chances with invisible forces. Satisfying conclusion. So those dragging chains you see on trucks, they're not random, they're not outdated, they're quietly solving a hidden problem. letting electricity escape, preventing sparks, and protecting something far bigger than themselves. Once you see it, it feels obvious. But until you know, it just looks like a piece of metal scraping the road. Now here's something even more interesting. If static electricity can build up on trucks, what do you think happens on airplanes flying through clouds at 900 kilometers per hour? The answer is even crazier.